So the Bleacher Report came out with Browns players that have the most to prove in 2021. First on the list, Odell Beckham Jr. So Matt, what do you make of that? How much do you think Odell has to prove in 2021?
Oh, the fact that this football team won games without him last year put some pressure on him to not come in and upset the apple cart. I get that one. I do. I don't necessarily agree that Delpit should be on that list, but Beckham for sure. A high-priced veteran, making a lot of money, ranked by PFF pretty high going into next year, has to perform. The Browns offense did pretty well without him, but they need him. But it's interesting to see how well they did, even though he was not there. But boy, that offense, if everybody stays healthy, should be really, really good in 2021.
All right, number 2 on the list for the Bleacher Report with players the most approved for the Browns in 2021, Jadeveon Clowney. What do you make of that one?
I agree with that, Dave. I think this is a guy that is underachieved. Let's go back to his college career. Let's remember him in the bowl game blowing up Michigan running backs, and you're going, this is going to be the next star in this league on defense. He's had his moments. He's had some good games. He's had some decent seasons, but even Houston, Seattle, where he's been, he hasn't been that get it star. He has a very good agent because he's always getting paid. So it's there. But yes, having to prove something and getting to the quarterback and helping Myles Garrett and the rest of the guys along that D line, I think he should be number 1 on that list.
All right, and this one, we've already talked a little bit about him. Number 3 on that list is Grant Delpit. And I think part of the problem comes from, they drafted a safety. They have some other guys that they signed as veterans. Is there some time for Delpit to develop, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to, and he is important. But I think it's going to be putting a lot of pressure on him for fans to think that he and Greedy and some of the guys that haven't played to really come in and be these stars right away. Now, it's going to help that they're going to get a training camp. This isn't going to be like last year where you didn't have OTAs, everything was virtual, and players, especially young players, were very, very behind. Go back to last year's draft, and Jeff Okudah, the Ohio State Buckeye, who ended up in Detroit, picked 3rd in the draft, and he was not ready. Well, he didn't get any time to get ready. He wasn't on the field with his teammates. I'll tell you one guy I would put on that list, Dave, is Cody Parkey. If he starts the year off this year like he kind of was shaky at the end of last year, Browns will look for a new kicker. He has to perform.
Is there anybody else that you kind of are looking at and kind of saying, time to perform other than Cody Parkey?
Should I press the easy button and say Baker Mayfield?
That's where I was going with it.
I mean, right? I mean, contract year, new deal coming up soon, chance to kind of build off of last year. I don't think anybody's ever said that Baker Mayfield sucked or that he's been a bust. But last year, he quieted the doubters at the end of last season, of course, with some big-time victories, including the playoff game at night in Pittsburgh that bought him some time. But, of course, the quarterback position is always going to be that one that is going to be in the spotlight.
My sense is he's going to have a pretty big year. I honestly think being in the same system for the second year, being with Kevin Stefanski, Alex Van Pelt, I think that makes a huge difference. Just your opinion on what you think you'll see from Baker Mayfield.
Oh, I agree with you. It's time to take that next step. When you play behind that tremendous offensive line, which hopefully will be healthy to start this season, of course, it was banged up at the end of last year. The running game with 2 top 10 backs, Nick Chubb and Kareem, and then the receiving core and the tight ends. I mean, having Kevin Stefanski, and you mentioned Van Pelt, boy, I mean, this offense should soar, and he really should do well, and I think he will. And he's maturing. He's growing up a little bit, too, which is great to see.